everyone, and welcome to the 81st episode of LA Rams Central. This is Playoff Edition. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And we're going to cover the wild card games, and then if time permits, we're going to go ahead and get a little bit into the divisional games. So first up is Kansas City and Tennessee. As you guys see, it's Kansas City versus Tennessee. Now, these teams have played only one other time in postseason history, and that's when the Tennessee Titans or the Houston Oilers. That was the year all the Oiler fans thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl, and Kansas City went in with Joe Montana in '93 season, January of '94, and beat the Oilers 28-20. Much different cast of characters and circumstances, and even for all intents and purposes for the Oilers, say a completely different organization, because they are now the Tennessee Titans. Now, Tennessee beat Jacksonville to get into the postseason, and Kansas City won their last two games to kind of shore things up, but they were in a dogfight all year long. Both these teams were in the division. I'll give you my keys first, Eric. Is there anything you want to add to the history? I mean, you were alive for that '93 game. What do you remember from it?
Not much, really. From '93, what I remember the most, actually, I believe it was '93. Wasn't that the Frank Reich game?
No. That was
Bills and Oilers?
No. We're talking Chiefs Oilers. This was when the Oilers had the best. This is when the Oilers had.
I know. I don't remember anything from the Chiefs Oilers.
Okay.
But what I do know is that those games actually played in January of 1994. Yes, it was the 1993 playoffs. And the one thing I'm going to add to that is that's the last time the Chiefs won a home game in the playoffs.
Actually,
was January of 1994. So they've gone what is that? 24 years without a home playoff win.
Yeah.
But I also want to let you know too. I think you forgot a matchup, and that was a 1962 championship between the Chiefs and the Oilers. The Chiefs might have been the Texans at that time.
Yeah, that was the Dallas Texans. You're right. That was the overtime game.
Yeah.
That was the overtime game. That's right.
The Texans ended up winning that game 20-17. Of course, we all know the Texans later went on to Kansas City to become the Chiefs. But so technically, the Chiefs hold a 2-0 series lead in the playoffs against the Titans.
Yep.
I look for a good game in this game, but as far as the '93 game, I don't remember much of it, to be honest with you.
Well,
like I said, the only game that I really remember back from that era, and I'm going to put that era back there, is that Bills Titans game. I think that might have been actually '93, to be honest with you, because I think that's when the Titans were up 35-3 and Wright came back.
Yeah. That was January. That was January of '93, the '92 season. In '94, in '93, the Chiefs had won their wild card game in January against Pittsburgh, and then they went to Houston and beat the number one seeded Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Oilers, to go on and eventually lose to the Bills in the championship game, and that was the Bills' fourth of 4 Super Bowl runs in a row. For me, Eric, the key to this game really comes down to 3 things. I always have 3 keys because games always come down to this. Now, you could easily say offensive line and get a cheap one in, but these are my 3 keys, Eric, and I want to know what your 3 keys are. For Kansas City, it's really simple. They've got to get holes open for Hunt and keep finding success in the running game. They need to let Alex Smith do what Alex Smith does best. Those dink and doinks work in the postseason. He proved that against the Saints when he was with the 49ers a few years back. This is the time you want to be careful with the football and play really good defense. The second key for me is Kansas City's pass rush. They've got to get better, and they've got to get to the quarterback. They've been a little abysmal this year, and that's been a major, major factor in Kansas City's losing streak. It wasn't just the offense, but the defense completely imploding. And the third key to the game for me, and this is probably going to be the biggest key, is coaching. The coaches have to make the right call at the right situation. It's okay to be aggressive and go for it on fourth down. But there's an old adage, and this is what I want people to look at. You take the points in the first half because you never want to chase in the second. So for Kansas City and Tennessee, for that matter, the coaches have to make sure that if they're in field goal range, they don't go for the touchdown. They don't go for the first down. Take your points. And by God, make the kick if you do kick it. For Tennessee, it's kind of similar. Mariota has to get the ball going. He has to get going. He has to be dynamic or the Titans don't stand a chance. And it has to be, Henry has to take the role that he's been wanting for a long time and, pun intended, run with it and be the bell cow in Tennessee. For me, that's it. Those are the keys. It's Hunt versus the Titans' run defense. It's Henry versus the Chiefs' run defense. It's Kansas City's pass rush, and it's coaching. And like I said, let Alex Smith be Alex Smith. What are your keys, Eric?
All right, well, I'm going to start with Kansas City, okay? Listen, it's been 24 years since you won a home playoff game, okay? For Kansas City, I like what you said about Alex Smith, Anthony, but he's taking care of the football. 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, he's lost 2 fumbles. To me, that's taking care of the football.
Oh, yeah.
Dink and dunk will work for the Chiefs because you have Travis Kelce. Now, if you can get Travis Kelce involved early, and this is one that you forget, that opens up key number 2, the running game with Kareem Hunt. Let Kareem Hunt do what Kareem Hunt did in the first 5 weeks of the year and in the last 4 weeks of the year. If you can get him going like that, not only is that crowd going to be amped up and wild, it's going to be one of the hardest and loudest crowds to deal with as coming into as a visiting team. Mm-hmm. What I also want to see from Kansas City, third key, get the early lead. And I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you why. And I don't mean, the Titans kick a field goal and then you score a touchdown. That's not going to work because the Titans then are already on the board. Unlike last year when they played against Steelers. Now they lost by 2 to Pittsburgh, okay, in a very contested game. Boswell hit a field goal in the first, and then again the Chiefs were trailing. Alex Smith threw a touchdown pass. They went up 7-3. Boswell field goal. Boswell field goal. Boswell field goal. Boswell field goal. By that time, in the third, it's already 15-7. So you're, again, playing catch-up. You're still within touchdown range, okay? But scoring in the playoffs is not as easy as scoring in the regular season. I don't want to say it's harder, but you're playing a little bit more conservative unless you put it on Alex Smith's shoulders and air it out, okay? Santos kicked the field goal last year, made it 15-10. Boswell kicked the 6th field goal of the game. For some reason, Pittsburgh couldn't get in the end zone, which was remarkable on Kansas City's defense part. They can play that kind of defense against the Titans have no chance.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, Mariota needs to be the scrambler and the quarterback that we know he can be. He cannot just sit in the pocket. If he does sit in the pocket, his outside weapons need to get open. And that includes Delaney Walker, that includes Eric Decker, that includes Rashard Matthews, that includes Derrick Henry catching the ball out of the backfield. And I think he's the X factor in today's game. I know Justin Houston is a really good defender, and the Chiefs are really going to miss Eric Berry today. I can see, a 20 to 30 points in this game scored on either team, okay, and a touchdown separating the game. So if Kansas City can limit Derrick Henry early, it's going to make Mariota be forced to throw the ball. And if Mariota can scramble like we know he can, and play the game of football like we know he was drafted for, like what he did at Oregon, the Titans are going to be able to score on the Chiefs defense. You can score easily on the Chiefs defense. So Mariota's 1, Derrick Henry's 2, and then it is also the Tennessee pass defense. How are they able to contain Tyreek Hill? How are they able to contain Travis Kelce are going to be 2 big ones. But then who's also going to be following Kareem Hunt out of the backfield? If you can stuff him at the line of scrimmage, That's going to make Alex Smith throw the ball deep. Just need to bring the safety over to cover Tyreek Hill. I expect a long touchdown to Tyreek Hill in this game, but if the Titans can limit the big plays, they're going to stay in the game. I'm not picking the Titans to win. I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game and win their first home playoff game in 24 years.
What, you got a score?
I do have a score. 34-27.
34-27. Wow. You think this is going to be much more high scoring than I think it is. I think playoff football.
I do.
Playoff football in this kind of weather and this type of game that we're talking about, I think you're going to see something more like a 23-20, 27-24. I'll go 27-24 though. I do think that there's going to be opportunities for some big runs. I think the Chiefs win 27-24 and will advance to the divisional playoff game. Okay, so next up, as you guys saw, it's the Atlanta Falcons at the Los Angeles Rams. So these two teams have had quite a history against each other. They were in the same division for years until the league went to 4 divisions, and then Atlanta went to the South, and so did New Orleans. Those were two teams that played the Rams pretty consistently. They've only met once in the postseason. That was in 2004. The Atlanta Falcons, for all intents and purposes, ended the greatest show on turf permanently with a 47-13 shellacking of the St. Louis Rams, and the playoff runs ended. That was the year the Rams became the first 8-8 team in NFL history to win a playoff game. They had gone into Seattle and won the wild card round before losing to Atlanta in the divisional playoff game. So there's your history on these two teams. Obviously, last year, that was the game that got Jeff Fisher fired and this whole thing rolling in the direction it's going in now. Eric, I would like for you to start with your keys to the game. Go.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question first before I get into those keys. Do you remember the last time the Falcons were on the road in the wild card game?
Was that against New Orleans?
It was not against New Orleans. The last time they played against the last time the Falcons played on the road was 2011 in New York to face the Giants.
That's right.
Or the 2011 season, January of 2012. The Falcons got eliminated, and eliminated pretty badly. The Giants won that game 24-2. Matt Ryan, of course, this was 6 years ago, okay, was 24-41 for 199 yards with a 4.9 average, a 42.2 quarterback rating.
Wow.
Now, I know that's 6 years ago. That's a long time to go on the road in a wild card game. You know, they've had the comfort of playing in their own home dome since they've been in the playoffs. Now, why you might ask yourself, you know, why is this relevant? It's the Falcons. It's outdoors.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going out to LA, so yeah, they're going cross country, but it's not the same as going from west to east to west. I think these guys sometimes I think it's a little bit overrated, except when you go to London to play football games.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as the keys to today's game, I'm going to watch how Matt Ryan handles playing playoff football on the road outdoors. Because last time he did it, it was very unsuccessful for him. They mustered 2 points, which means their defense came to play. Their offense was left wondering where they were.
Right.
Okay? So for the Falcons, I'm going to start with the Falcons first. Get Julio Jones involved as early as you can. Okay? If you can get Julio Jones involved early and start setting a tone for the pass game, that's going to open up my number 2 point. That's going to open up Devontae Freeman and Kevin Coleman to run where they want on that Rams defense. You can run on the Rams defense. I don't want to see the Falcons starting to run because I think the Rams have it scripted to where okay, we're going to focus on Freeman as early as we can and Kevin Coleman, whoever starts for them, and we're going to stop them. We're going to make Matt Ryan beat us. Okay? My third is when Atlanta starts playing football later in the year on the road, especially this season, I have seen a lot of timely turnovers. And the Rams need to be able to get their hands on the football and create turnovers. Yeah. So the Falcons' number 3 point is limit those turnovers. I don't think they will. I think you're going to see a couple of interceptions and a fumble from one of the running backs. And I assume, and not assume, but I'm going to say that the Rams win the turnover battle. Now I'm going to flip the ball to the Rams side. I expect the Rams, number one, to win the turnover battle. Okay? I expect Goff to be calm, cool, and collected, and Gurley's going to run through the Falcons defense. My number 2 point is going to run through the Falcons defense like Swiss cheese. I don't think the Falcons defense is all of that. I don't care what they did in Week 17 to Carolina. I see the Rams putting up points, and I don't think the Falcons have enough firepower. Not this year. Last year, they would have been able to hang with this year's Rams. But there's a reason why the Rams scored over 30 points per game on average in the NFL this season, and we're going to see why. So, win the turnover battle is number one. Gurley running through the Falcons defense, number 2. My number 3 is take care of your players and avoid the injury bug. Because the last thing you want is one of your star players to go out when you might have a big lead, because you want to save them for next week. This would be the time to do that and not allow the Falcons back in the game.
Well, I think that's gonna be huge in the sense that the Rams, if they have a big lead, they need to do what the Falcons didn't do. And Sean McVay has shown this. When Atlanta had the big lead against the Rams, they kept trying to score. And it was really annoying, to say the very least. And at that point, as a fan of the team getting beat down, you were kind of hoping somebody would get injured just to send a message to Atlanta that, okay, fine, you won, but now good luck next week. But unfortunately for the Rams, that never happened. My keys, and then I'll do your prediction here in a minute. My keys are pretty straightforward. The Rams need to have revenge on their mind. They need to have revenge. The last time they were in the playoffs, they need to know this statistic. They need to know the last time they were here, Atlanta ran the score up on them. They need to know the last time they played Atlanta, and this one I know they do know. They need to be remembering that 42-7 pounding they took at the hands of the Atlanta Falcons last year. And more importantly, they need to do it to kind of shut everyone up, because now the playoffs have started and the doubters are back. So I think the key for the Rams is to have revenge on the mind. Number 2 for the Rams is extremely important. They need to learn. They need to play Ram football. They don't need to think that they don't need to change anything because they're here. My fear from that game against San Francisco is that they're going to kind of come in with this attitude. That's why revenge on the mind will take care of that problem. If the Rams play with some vengeance, like they have all year long, the Falcons don't stand a chance. So that eliminates my concern from last week if the Rams come out. And you'll know, because the Rams will come out hungry and they'll come out aggressive. The second key to the game is, I agree with you, it's the turnover bug. I've seen enough playoff football to know turnovers, they kill you. And even if you've got a big lead, or even not a big lead, but even if you've got a lead and you turn the ball over in the first half and you're like, oh, who cares? We're up by 10. And then you end up losing by 3 and you're like, oh yeah, remember that fumble we had at the 10-yard line of the other team in the first half? Maybe that would have been the difference in the game. At least it would have tied it. I see it happen all the time. So winning the turnover battle is absolutely my number 2 key for the Rams. And my number 1 key for the Falcons. My number 3 key for the Rams is really, it's don't feel like you have to protect Jared Goff. We're playing with house money. Yes, it needs to be the Todd Gurley show. I agree with that. But if the opportunity comes to let Jared Goff let loose, the Rams need to let him let loose. Because while I want to win this playoff game, this experience is going to do wonders for this organization moving forward. And I just don't want to see us play a restricted game plan with Jared Goff. Now, I have a 4th key for the Rams, and that's on defense. You need to get pressure on the quarterback. The Rams have done this all year long. I've watched every game. The reason they've kind of really been gashed by the run is the Rams have made a conscious effort knowing this is a passing league, knowing you're not going to run the ball 25 straight times unless you're New Orleans. So with that being said, when you do drop back to pass, we're going to hit your quarterback and we're going to put you in third and longs, and now your running game doesn't matter. So the Rams need to keep up that same defensive system while keeping an eye on those runners, because nowadays the running game isn't just handing the ball off and running between the line of scrimmage. It's the screen game. It's the shovel pass game. It's the motion game. So you've got to keep those things in mind, because that's like extended running plays, swing patterns and screens and all kinds of, the short line of scrimmage pass that turns into a 10-yard run. Those are today's running plays. So the Rams need to be mindful of that in the passing game as well. For Atlanta, the keys are pretty simple. Again, win the turnover battle. We talked about that. They need to run the football, and when they throw, they need to protect Matt Ryan. And their fourth key is to put pressure on Jared Goff when he does throw. Because I don't think you're going to stop Todd Gurley. But if you can get pressure on Jared Goff, if you can get a couple of turnovers in that way, then I think you have a chance. And I think that those are going to be relatively solid overall keys for both of these teams. Who do you got winning, Eric?
All right. Well, you threw in a fourth point, and I'm going to throw in 4A and 4B for you.
Okay.
And here's what I'm really interested in seeing before I give you my score prediction. I am interested to watch Andrew Whitworth versus Adrian Claiborne.
Yeah.
And I'm also interested to watch Alex Mack versus Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one too.
Okay. Winning in our games in the trenches, okay, are won and lost right there. If Aaron Donald gets pressure on Matt Ryan all day, it's going to be a long day for the Falcons. If Claiborne has a game like he had against Dallas, it's going to be a long day for Goff. I'm interested to actually watch the interior of this team than I am the big playmakers on the outside from either team. I think that's going to be fascinating to watch. Mm-hmm. As far as predictions go, Anthony, I don't think they're going to put Goff on that much of a leash. If they let him do what he's wanted all season, they're going to let him win or lose this game, as a team, obviously. But I don't think it's going to be, Goff, you can only throw 20 times a game, then we're going to script all these plays for you. I don't think we're going to see that. I think that you're going to see the Rams score a lot of points. I have the Rams winning this game 38-17.
All right. I'm going to go wow here. All right. Todd Gurley's going to have over 300 yards of total offense. I think he's going to have over 200 yards rushing, and I think he's going to have over 100 yards receiving. I think the Rams are going to win this game 37-13, 37-10, something like that. Could even be 44-10. But I think the Rams are going to come out with the mindset, you can't stop our offense. That's going to open up the deep pass big time. I think you're going to see Todd Gurley do to Atlanta what he did to the Dallas Cowboys in the passing game. I think you could see him lining up in the slot and getting open on a deep post route for a big catch and a big play. I don't necessarily know if he's going to go 80 yards to the house on a screen pass, but I do think Todd Gurley's going to have a 50-plus yard run in this game, and I think the Rams are going to roll. I'm going to go – my final prediction is going to be 37-13, but I won't be surprised if this game is 44-10. This game will be close at halftime. It might be 17-13. It might be 13-10. But you're going to see the Rams do in the third quarter what the Rams always do. Special teams, we didn't even talk about. That's always a key with the Rams. They always show up. But this isn't a game that's going to come down to Ficken's leg. It's going to come down to how the backups, keep the Falcons off the scoreboard as the Rams move on to the next round. So I got a 37-13 final, Los Angeles advancing. Next game. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Buffalo Bills. These two teams met once in the postseason. That was in '96. The Jaguars kind of ended the Bills dynasty that year. They won 20-17 on the road in Buffalo. This time around,
30
it's...
Sorry, Anthony, 30-27.
Oh, that's right. That one was, I'm sorry, 2017 was Elliott's prediction for this game. 30-27. It was a 3-point game, and that was the Natron memes going off on the Buffalo Bills and the coming out party for Clyde the Glide Simmons as a Jaguar. We already knew what he was capable of doing when he was with Philadelphia. So it was a big, big win for Jacksonville. This year, things are different. Jacksonville's home. Buffalo's made their first postseason appearance since 1999, so congratulations to the Bills. Guys, enjoy it. It's been a great run, but it's over. So here are my keys to this game. Leonard Fournette, and the Jaguar defense. That's it. Blake Bortles is going to play well because Leonard Fournette is going off. And that Jaguar defense will get their share of turnovers and put pressure on Jacksonville. For Buffalo, stop Leonard Fournette, and you've got to find a way to get the ball to Clay, your tight end, and move the sticks on third down. Those are their 3 keys. I don't see Buffalo doing those 3 things. I think the Jaguars are a better team. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this game 27-10.
Wow. Well, I see this game being a lot of defense, actually, and more pass defense for the Buffalo Bills because they are 4th from the bottom in rushing defense. Oh, guess what? Buffalo started falling when they traded Marcel Darius.
Mm-hmm.
Who does Marcel Darius play for now?
Jacksonville.
The Jaguars. Absolutely. Correlation there. So, yes, I do agree with you with Leonard Fournette. But I think one of the – and I'm going to go with Fournette as well because I think they need to lean on him. I don't think he is used as much as any other rookie running back that, hits that proverbial wall late in the season. I don't think that's happened to Fournette. Yes, he's had some, bruises and nicks and whatnot, his ankle that kept him out for a week. He was also suspended by the team for a week. So that's, in essence, the long run is going to keep him a little bit more fresh, in my opinion. So I'm going to start with Jacksonville. And again, we mentioned Fournette. 2, Bortles needs to play the way he's been playing this whole year, sans the last 2 weeks. If he plays this game like he has the last 2 weeks, not only is Jacksonville going to lose, but Jacksonville's going to move on from Blake Bortles. This is a game right here where Bortles needs to have almost a mistake-free game. He cannot be bitten by the turnover bug. If he is, it's a long day for Jacksonville. I expect there to be a very, very big Jacksonville crowd. I mean, they typically don't sell out during the season, but playoff football brings out a lot of fans. Yes, I know. Could be bandwagon fans. I understand that. But they're going to fill the stadium. And I know Buffalo's going to get a lot of fans their way, too. The third key to the game for me is the receiving game. I think Jacksonville defense is legit, and I'm excited to watch what they can do. But I think it's going to be the receiving game on Bortles. If Bortles is a little bit off, I want to see the receivers go after them, go after the ball like it's a hot potato and their life depends on it. Okay? So that means if Marquise Lee plays, that's only going to help them. But they need to get a lot of production out of Allen Hurns, Keelan Cole, Dede Westbrook, and also their tight end Mercedes Lewis. Okay? If those guys can show up and catch the football like I know they're capable of catching, because we've seen what Westbrook can do, we've seen what Cole can do, especially at the late in the season. If they can continue that and not think to themselves, oh, there's the playoffs, I'm going to play timid, or I'm not going to go across the middle, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that, that's when you're already in trouble. You've already lost the mental game. As for Buffalo, what's the health of LaShawn McCoy? He wants to be able to cut without pain. I don't think that's entirely possible with him with the type of ankle injury that he suffered.
Right.
So then it comes down to Tyrod Taylor. And if you put it on Tyrod Taylor's shoulders without one of his best weapons, he's got Deontay Thompson, who was released by the Bears earlier this season and has come up of late, but he's also questionable for this game. You have Charles Clay. Well, he's been giving with an ankle injury as well. If you put it all on Tyrod Taylor, and it's really one, the health of the Buffalo Bills offense, and two, if Tyrod Taylor can make the throws and make the runs without LaShawn McCoy if he doesn't play. But how healthy is McCoy? I don't see the Bills winning this game. I got Jacksonville winning this game 24-7.
Wow. So we both have a pretty dominant performance by Jacksonville moving on.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars. I don't want to say that they were trying to get the regular season over because I don't. There's a lot of incentive to be played with a couple of games remaining, and you want to be able to work out those kinks late in the season and whatnot. It didn't work as well for Jacksonville as I'm sure they would have hoped, but they know that they're still alive, and they know they've got a team that is coming off a lot of adrenaline and getting into the playoffs for the first time since 1999, and that's going to be a big factor. I expect Buffalo to come out and play hard and maybe even take the early lead 3-0 or 7-0. And I don't want to pick them 24-7, but they could take 2-3 field goals. They could just score a touchdown and then start to drop off or whatnot, depending on injuries. But I expect Buffalo to come out playing hard. I don't expect it to last. I expect the Jaguars defense to be suffocating. And, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars even get a defensive touchdown this game as well. Jalen Ramsey could easily have 1 or 2 picks.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Our last and final game. The New Orleans Saints at home against the Carolina Panthers. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. These two have never met in the postseason before. Is that correct, Eric?
That's correct.
So this is their first ever playoff meeting, and it's a divisional game. I'm sure New Orleans isn't real thrilled about that, having already beat them twice, but that's just it. They've already beat them twice. The keys to the game, for me, I'll get into my keys, Eric, but why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked me to go first in this game. New Orleans and Carolina. I want to retract a statement that I had said the previous show about it's hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. Okay? It's happened 13 out of 20 times for a 65% success rate.
Yeah, it's almost 50.
Of course, New Orleans and Carolina are division rivals. They've already played twice. New Orleans has beat them twice. Short end of the stick, it's going to be 14 out of 21 times that it's going to happen. I have New Orleans winning this game. And here are my keys to the game. Number 1 key, Drew Brees won't turn the ball over. Number 2, Alvin Kamara is going to be a beast. And number 3, Carolina has no answer to cover Michael Thomas. Those are your 3 keys. I'm going to throw in a 4th one. Marshawn Lattimore, the Saints quarterback, is going to shut down the Carolina's best receiver. And I say receiver because he's going to be on Funchess, and Funchess may be going to have 1 catch in this game. He'll be lucky to have 2.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how New Orleans covers Greg Olsen, because I think he could be the big X factor. On the other side of the ball, Christian McCaffrey is 1 and 2. And I say 1 and 2 because I want to see how he handles the offensive side of the ball, and I want to see how he handles returning kicks or punts, because I know he's back there on some occasions. If he can break one either on offense or special teams, Carolina is going to keep this a close game. Number 3, Cam Newton. Cam Newton, we have seen him at his best in the playoffs. We have seen him at his worst in the playoffs. If Cam had a game like he did against in Week 17, where against the Falcons, it's going to be the longest day of his career outside the Super Bowl for him and the Panthers, because he could not hit an open receiver to save his life. He was high. He threw it directly to Falcons players in that game. I could see Cam taking that and happening again. Okay? So, knowing those keys to the game, I am taking New Orleans 31-30.
Ooh, close game.
Very close game.
So for me, the keys are pretty straightforward. For New Orleans, I'll go first. For New Orleans, it's Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram continuing to do what they've done all year long and finding success in getting the big play against a great defense like Carolina's. That's key number one. Number two is hit Cam Newton early and often and get him in pouting mode. Because when Cam Newton's in pouting mode, that offense comes to a grinding halt. Number three is going to sound crazy. Run right at Luke Kuechly. And I say that because Luke Kuechly does not do well with lead blockers since he's come back from the concussion. He does really well against teams that use an ace formation, a single back. He can really go sideline to sideline. But if he's got to engage a blocker and then a hitter, he seems to be tentative, like he's cautious of his head. So I'd like to see a little more two-back set out of New Orleans and really run right at Luke Kuechly, right up the gut. And that will absolutely be a punch to the Panthers' gut and completely deflating. For Carolina, it's easy. Get the ball to Greg Olsen, number one. Get the ball to McCaffrey, number two. And number three, stop New Orleans' running game. Make them one-dimensional because Carolina has the pass rush to get to Drew Brees. And they have a good enough defense in the secondary. Now, they don't have an answer for Michael Thomas, which would be a problem. But if they can get to the quarterback before you can get to Michael Thomas, then there's your fix. I agree with you, though. I think New Orleans is the better team. I think it is going to be 14 out of 21. I got the Panthers losing to New Orleans 34-27. So,
yeah, you make it close too.
Yep. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think ultimately the Saints will win.
I do want to piggyback off one of your points. You mentioned that stop Kamara, stop Ingram, and I think if you do see the Panthers starting to get pressure, I think you're going to see a lot more screen passes.
Oh yeah.
And if you see a lot more screen passes, especially to Kamara, you're going to see him break one.
Yeah, it's going to be
cool.
cool.
It may not be for a touchdown, okay, but you might see a screen pass on 2nd and 7 from the Saints' 24-yard line, and Kamara takes it into Panthers territory. Just saying, you could see something like crazy like that. He's also capable of taking it to the house.
Oh,
he also returns kicks too, and he had a 106-yard touchdown return for a touchdown a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And if he can get one of those as well, it's gonna be tough for Carolina.
It is. Look, I'm looking forward to these wild card games. We will on Monday or Tuesday, depending on. Probably Tuesday would work better for me, unless we want to go back to our Wednesday format. We will cover the review for the wild card games, and then I want to cover each divisional playoff team individually. Then on Saturday, or Friday I should say, we'll do the divisional playoff round preview, and then we'll keep the format through the rest of the year. So my parting thoughts are just to the fans. Thanks again for being patient. Holiday season, it was tough for me to get to this. A couple times we forgot. I've been just too excited for this game, but I'm actually rather calm. Not my first rodeo, so I realize we're playing with house money, and anything that happens for the Rams here is going to be big. I'm excited to watch the game. I'm excited for Todd Gurley. I'm excited for these guys that have been lifelong Rams, like the guys in '99 that had been there forever through the crap and the muck, and now they get to reap the benefits. Should be a fun day for the Ramily. Eric, anything you want to add?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to recognize the 6 Rams who made the All-Pro team. I thought that was huge, coming from a team that was 4-12 last year to do what they were able to do this year. So congrats to those 6 guys. Aaron Donald and Johnny Hekker were repeat all first teamers from last year. And you had Whitworth, you had Gurley, you had Farrell Cooper, and you had Greg Zuerlein. I hope the Rams can get by without the leg of Zuerlein. I really don't want it to come down any of these games that they play. I really don't want it to come down to field goal kicking, because I would just hate to see a Rams loss based on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, it happened. We witnessed it in the Super Bowl. We witnessed it in countless games. And I don't want to put any negative thoughts into anybody's line of thinking about this, but me personally, without having a horse in this race, with the Bears being 5-11 this year, I just want to let the Rambling know that Anthony visited me a couple of years ago. He left the Rams long there, and yours truly is going to don that shirt today in honor of the Rams playoff game today. So I'll send you a picture later. I don't know if we can post it to YouTube or not, but I'll be rooting for the Rams. And like I said, I picked them to win. Rooting for them, and excited for you guys to finally be in the playoffs since 2004. So it'll be a great watch. I'm looking forward to tonight.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's a wrap. We hope you guys enjoy. Go Rams!